It's showtime at Homestead, Miami.
Andre Baranowskis at the line, steals it in the Indy 250.
Morgan to Baxter's in trouble, there they go. Gordon to the wall, jumps right around.
Side by side on the final lap, coming to the checkered flag.
Steve Morgan, the last lap pass, and the victory in Las Vegas.
Welcome to the NOFSRL.
Hello everybody, this is Napa Fan here, and this is race number 15 in season number 5 of the NOFSRL Turkey Hill Series. We are here at the Kansas Speedway for the Kansas Heartland 300. 40 laps around this 1.5 mile speedway in Kansas City, Kansas, and got ourselves an interesting weekend coming up here on FM. We got the race here today. We got Lime Rock Park and the IndyCar Series tomorrow. And the Chick-fil-A Cup Series comes here on Saturday. So we're here for a Thursday afternoon race in the Turkey Hill Series from Kansas. And not only that, I'm doing alongside Elijah Lender for the first time in over a year and a half. And I say that again tomorrow when we do the IndyCar race from Lime Rock together, because we already recorded that race. But Elijah, got to be an interesting one here. We're halfway through the season here at the Kansas Speedway in the Turkey Hill Series. And Josh King has been the class of the field for the most part. He's got a 22-point lead coming into this race. He starts 12th. Do you think he's going to have a good run here today at Kansas? Or do you think Parker Smith or Carter Friesen, a couple guys who are right back in there in the points, think they might jump him in the points today at the Kansas Speedway?
Well, there's a pretty good chance that Josh King could definitely have himself a really good run. But you also have to throw into the factor that this racetrack can be a pretty chaotic place. This may be your average 1.5 mile racetrack, but there has been some pretty intense racing, especially in the pit stops. But well, not racing in the pit stops, but you know what I mean. But anyways, I mean, I would definitely say that Josh King could definitely have himself a very good run, but then again, maybe not. Maybe the drivers that you mentioned, such as Carter Friesen, for instance, could definitely close in on him in the point standing. So we're just going to have to wait and see once we get down to the race and once this green flag drops.
It'll be an interesting one here today from the Kansas Speedway, no doubt about that. And we saw in yesterday's Hers Dash race that it's difficult to get a run on somebody and make a pass for the race lead here. You have to hit your marks. It's a very rhythmic racetrack. You got to hit that rhythm, and if you don't, you slide up and lose a lot of time. If you go side by side here, you lose a lot of time. It's going to be interesting, but unlike the Hers Dash Series race that we had yesterday, we're going to have pit stops, and that plays a whole nother factor into how this race plays out. And on top of that, it's twice as long, too. So many factors. We really don't know how this one's going to play out. Should be a good one, though, with Dale Salzman starting on the pole. I mentioned the points. Josh King, the points leader, 388 points towards the championship for him. Parker Smith is 22 points behind. Carter Friesen is 33 points behind. Clark McKee is 43 points behind. And Jacob Hammond is 44 points behind, coming into the first race in the second half of the season for the Turkey Hill Series. Race 15 of the season. And like I mentioned, Dale Salzman on the pole in the number 12. And alongside him, the number 25 of Keyshawn Richardson. Great starting position for him right there. Christopher Alphaby to the inside of Mitchell Collins in row number 2. Landon Smith Jr. alongside Armory Digital winner Zachary DeLello in the number 80. Carter, or should I say, Noah Clifton in the number 46. We'll get the Carter Friesen in a moment. Alongside Logan Williams in row 4. Chloe Reiner and Christian Vargas round out the top 10 starting positions. A couple of winners back in here with Jake Rogers and Josh King. And there's Carter Friesen, who is 33 points behind Josh King coming into this race. We'll have to see if he can get an advantage here in this one from the Kansas Speedway. But Elijah, you know some of these names and some of them you don't, but who do you think is going to be in victory lane here at the Kansas Speedway?
Well, it's like I said before we got to this broadcast, it's kind of like this, kind of like the field is filled with age and experience and youth and daring do, but I'd have to go with a little bit of experience and say maybe, just maybe, Dale Salzman could have this in the bag, because there's a chance that maybe somebody in the back, maybe in the middle of the pack, could probably pull off the best strategy and win this thing. But we're coming to the green flag, so we'll wait to find out.
It's to fire them up. Here we go. Dale Salzman with the best starting position. We'll have to see what he does as the green flag flies here in the Kansas Heartland 300 in the Turkey Hill Series. Well, it's a pretty easy start there for Salzman, already pulling out to a 0.3 of a second lead, almost 3 wide in the corner. This is such a tough place to get a run on somebody. That inside lane's where you gotta be, and if you're not there, it's hard to make a run. And like I said, it's a very rhythmic racetrack, and if you miss the rhythm, you're just gonna fall back.
Yeah, this is, like you said earlier, this is a racetrack where you have to hit your marks and you have to play your cards right, especially early in this race, because you don't want to have any sort of problems within the first 5 or 10 or so laps. And right now we have a battle for the second position. I believe that's the 11 of Landon Smith Jr. taking it away from, I think that was the 19, I believe, Christopher Alpeby.
Yeah, Christopher Alpeby there falling back on the outside. Chloe Reiner, she's last in points coming into this race. There she goes to the inside for second. Keyshawn Richardson started on the outside, Police back on the inside lane, but they're all chasing veteran Dale Salzman in the number 12. Great run for him so far, as he's got a pretty significant lead on the rest of the field. That last lap, it was about 0.4 of a second. Let's see if Reiner closes in on him here at any point within the race. Check in on Josh King, and he's stuck in that outside lane, and Friesen has surpassed him. And King, he's led in the points more than half of the season that we've run so far. We'll have to see if he can keep that at the end of the day or not. Parker Smith in the number 44 is still behind him there, 3 wide right now with Trey Smith and Clark McKee.
3 wide in the back, but right now I think that's one of the positive things, is that there's 3 wide in the back, and if there was a mistake and if there was the wreck, there wouldn't be a lot of cars that would get collected, but it would still suck for the drivers that would get caught up in the crash. But still, nonetheless, 3 wide in the back, everybody's just kind of trying to get strung out, maybe a little bit single file, a little bit of double file, but right now it's just a matter of just trying to get into a consistent rhythm.
These guys, they've yet to figure that one out quite yet. There's a lot of 3 wide still going on in the back of the field. They've kept it together fairly well, but like you mentioned, if one driver makes a mistake, that's going to send a lot of guys into the outside wall. But Josh King back on the inside. Parker Smith trying to chase him down there for that points lead. We're halfway through the season, so it's still kind of early on. But, you know, thinking about this championship here, I mean, it's going to come in a lot faster than you think. I mean, we only have 14 races left as they are battling for the race lead. Dale Salzman and Chloe Reiner. Reiner had a run, but Salzman got back to the inside, and so far Salzman has been the only driver to lead a lap in this race, even though Reiner did lead for a split second. But Reiner, she's pretty much out of the championship hunt at this point. A win would mean a lot, because that's about all she can do at this point here in the Turkey Hill Series.
All she can do at this point is that she really doesn't have anything to lose at this point, since she is out of the championship. So for Chloe Reiner, I would definitely say just getting some good runs and shaking up the championship standings a little bit as far as some of the top front runners. You know, it would definitely, I mean, for Chloe Reiner, it would definitely be pretty big for her to go out and get this win.
It definitely would. She's got another run here on Dale Salzman this time. I think she's going to be able to complete the pass on the 12. Richardson on Landon Smith Jr. for third behind these guys. And think about this race, it's not like the outside lane works as well as the inside lane, but you can still get a run. But they don't stay side by side for too long here. It's just a very interesting racetrack. Kind of hard to describe this. It's different than a lot of the other mile and a halves we go to, but it seems a little bit slower pace. Obviously one of the flattest mile and a halves we go to on the circuit, so that also plays into the style of racing we get. Keyshawn Richardson now with a run on Dale Salzman. Got Dylan Young moving his way through the field. Joey, or should I say Jonathan Logan. My apologies right there. I don't know why I said Joey. We had Joey Hightower, who started on the pole yesterday in the Hers Dash Series race. That might have been why. Alex Bonsignor, he has not been running too well this season in the Hers Dash, or should I say in the Turkey Hill Series. Now I'm just getting it all confused, because he's driving the Hers car, and Hers sponsors the Dash Series. I don't know. But top 10 run right now for Bonsignor. I don't think it's going to be a championship for him this season, but a win would definitely be huge for Bonsignor, who actually, I believe, has won a Chick-fil-A Cup Series race here before at the Kansas Speedway.
Yeah, it looks, right now, Alex Bonsignor just doing a very good job riding inside of the top 10 right now. It's still early in the race. We're already a third of the way through the event. So for Bonsignor, as far as him being not in the championship run, he doesn't really have a whole lot to lose, just like Chloe Reiner. So he can definitely go out and just have some good runs and try to finish up the season strong.
And he's doing a good job right now. Mark Allen, great run for him in 9th, and Carter Friesen inside the top 10. Josh King, not too far behind his teammate Jacob Hammond, getting to the inside of him there. That is for the 14th position, but King looking strong, and it's these kinds of runs that help you win a championship. These 15th place runs, if you run these consistently, you're going to have a good run throughout the season. Maybe not 15th, but maybe top 10s, top 15s in that general area really helps you out when it comes to the championship. These guys, the tires are starting to wear out, so they're starting to slip and slide a little bit more than they were earlier on in the race. The lap times are definitely going down here at Kansas, and going to be interesting to see how they maneuver the rest of this race here. As we're only on lap 12 of 40. So not quite a third of the way through yet. But really close here at the Kansas Speedway and the Kansas Heartland 300. Side-by-side, Richardson trying to get a run on the outside of Landon Smith Jr. as Mark Allen moving his way through the field very nicely in the number 8 machine.
Almost made it 3 wide going into turn number 1, but you definitely hit the nail on the head really well there now. But because these tires are starting to fall off, and one of the prime reasons is that the sun is out and the temperature could be pretty hot. I mean, as far as the weather goes. So that will mean the drivers will definitely slip slide around the racetrack. So these cars are going to be a little bit harder to drive. And we have a lead change. I think we missed it.
No, Reiner has, in fact, been out front this whole time. But Salzman is a little bit closer to her now than he was a little bit earlier on. Salzman trying to get that run, but it gets a little bit more difficult when the tires were out. You got Dylan Young, Jonathan Logan, Mitchell Collins inside the top 5. I mean, a lot of these guys, Reiner, the least experienced of this top 5 right now, but she's definitely doing a great job. Her teammate, Jonathan Logan, also there in the 63, so great run for Anderson Racing. They have not had the best of runs here in the Turkey Hill Series level. They did get a win in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series with Iquan Haslam at Homestead back in March. There goes Salzman. He's got a run to the inside of Chloe Reiner, and I think Salzman's going to do it right here for the race lead on lap 15 of 40.
He's got the inside, but you see Reiner on the outside starting to fight back. They're dead even down the back straightaway, and you did say that the outside line, you can get a run up there, but it doesn't always work as much. And you see, man, look at Chloe Reiner's just got a really strong car. Is going to be able to retain the lead coming off of turn 4.
And I think that outside lane works a lot better when the tires were out off of turn 4, which definitely played into the hands of Chloe Reiner. Dylan Young and Mitchell Collins are in a battle right now, and Mark Allen starting to gain into this battle as well. Keyshawn Richardson, Carter Friesen, Josh Williamson in the 39, and then you got the 10 of Nick Smith. Also, I think just inside the top 10 is Landon Smith Jr. falls back to 11th. Bongsner was falling back a little bit. Jacob Hammond moving his way through the field very nicely, and you got Owen Miles and Josh King, our points leader. About 2.5 seconds off the race lead at this point, but still a decent run, and looks like he will be the points leader at the end of the day. Logan now trying to make Anderson Racing go 1-2 here at Kansas, and I believe he's going to clear Salzman off of turn 2. So how about this for Anderson Racing? Julius Anderson, the owner of this team, both of his drivers here in the Turkey Hill Series who have had really tough seasons, 1-2 right now here at the Kansas Speedway.
That's very good news for Anderson Racing to see your cars both 1 and 2, but you see Salzman able to fall into the 3rd position, and now he's got a really good draft on the 63 going into turn 1. He's going to try to take the 2nd spot back, but he didn't quite have the run. But now we're closing into around the point where we could have some pit stops. So right now it's just a matter of just trying to get to that point and trying to make sure you can nail down the strategy once that time comes.
I think it'll be a little bit past halfway when these guys come down for their one and only pit stop of the day. But that one and only pit stop of the day is going to be very critical. They got to be careful coming down the pit lane as well. It's a difficult pit lane to come down without getting in other people. And Salzman, whoa!
Little way too wide going into 1.
Yeah, and that's going to open the door for Dylan Young and Mark Allen, and Chloe Reiner loving that in her rear view mirror there as Logan just shot up the racetrack. Or I should say Salzman shot up the racetrack, and Logan had to react.
And
interesting thing here, right at halfway, we got some guys coming down, which means we could have a fuel mileage race here at the Kansas Speedway. Lap 19 of 40, Mark Allen, Keyshawn Richardson, Mitchell Collins, Josh Williamson, Carter Friesen down. Interesting strategy out of those guys, trying to get that advantage on the tires. Of course, tire wear a big factor here at the Kansas Speedway. Next time by is going to be halfway through the Kansas Heartland 300. And nobody had an issue coming down the pit lane, thankfully, but we'll have to see if someone does have an issue. The rest of the guys coming down right here, with the exception of Jacob Hammond, who's going to stay out and lead a lap here at the Kansas Speedway halfway to the Kansas Heartland 300.
Pretty gutsy move by Jacob Hammond to stay out, but Also have to keep in mind that sometimes, just because you're the first one that comes into pit road, you're not always going to be the first one to, doesn't always mean you're going to take the lead. So, I mean, pretty close call there for Alex Bonsignor, and I believe that's also the 73, yes, of Bobo Jones.
Last winner, actually, Bobo Jones. They got to be careful.
No!
Hard on the outside wall. Jordan Lopez and Bobo Jones got clipped there as they were coming off the pit lane. And the caution will fly. Jacob Hammond is going to catch in very nicely. However, I don't believe anyone's going to get caught on the tail end because everyone, or most everyone, had started that lap. I think. Ooh. Depends on where Jacob Hammond is. I think Hammond had already come down the pit lane. But, that's going to shake everything up here in this one. Where is Hammond? Where is he?
Where?
They're racing back to the line right here. I think that's going to hurt Reiner, though. These guys are going to stay on the lead lap, but they're going to lose a ton of positions. But Jordan Lopez in the 22 and Bobo Jones, our last winner here in the Turkey Hill Series, got the win at Charlotte last week. Both involved in an accident as everyone races back to the line. They had already started their lap on the pit lane, but that's what we were saying, you know. You got to be careful coming off the pit lane, coming down the pit lane. And they were not too careful there during that cycle of green flag runs. Hammond, I believe, will end up with the race lead, and Reiner will be second. Actually, I think Joshua Rush might be second. He's shown in the second position right now, and that is, in fact, what will be the case. And I think even the 80 machine of Zachary DeLillo might get back in line to the third position. So those three guys who stayed out, they're going to benefit. They're going to move their way up through the field. But it's not going to hurt Reiner and Young and all those guys as much as I thought it would, because they're going to be right inside the top 5 here once we get to the restart. But either way, we saw exactly what happened to bring out the caution. Let's go ahead and review it. Bobo Jones and Jordan Lopez going around there, entering turn 1 off the pit lane. Yeah, 3 wide off the pit lane right here. Bobo Jones on the inside. Logan Williams in the middle of all this, and Jordan Lopez in the 22. I think Lopez kind of cut down there on Williams, and Williams had nowhere to go but to clip the 73 of Bobo Jones. Thankfully, nobody was coming on the racetrack towards these guys, and it was just a 2-car incident, but a tough break there for our last winner, Bobo Jones and Jordan Lopez. It's not been the best of seasons there for the Gardner Motorsports driver in the number 22.
One of the things you have to be careful of is that when you come out onto the come out of pit road and onto the apron, the pavement just gets a little bit narrower, and obviously that's what happened there. Bobo Jones was on the worst receiving end of that one. Same for Jordan Lopez, and they went spinning up the racetrack and hit the wall, and that's what caused our first caution of the day here at Kansas.
And you mentioned there's a little bit of a kink there. The grass sticks out just slightly off, and I think Bobo Jones might have moved up to stay on the apron surface, but you see right there, it's just that little bend. Got a little bit more narrow, and that's probably bit of a cause for the accident. Our race leader is Jacob Hammond, who stayed out on the racetrack, was the race leader at the time of the caution. He's going to jump the field a little bit here and have a good shot at this race victory. Let's see if he gets his second win of the year in the Turkey Hill Series here at Kansas. We are back here at the Kansas Speedway. Going to have a shootout to the end here in the Kansas Heartland 300, the Turkey Hill Series. Been a nice one here. I've really enjoyed this race. Like these races that play out where you really don't know who's going to win. Passing's very possible, but not too possible. So it's all over the place. We had a couple guys jump the field there because they stayed out before the caution came out. Jacob Hammond in the 47, Joshua Rush, and Zachary DeLillo all stayed out until the last cycle. So they were the 3 last guys to come down the pit lane, and they were on the pit lane when the caution came out. Everybody else had already made their stops. It's Hammond, Rush, Reiner, Young, DeLillo, the top 5, the Nick Smith, Dale Salzman, Owen Miles, Josh King is 9th, and then the 9 of Hunter Blade rounds out the top 10. Out of the race, Jordan Lopez in the number 22. 14 laps to go here at Kansas.
And they restarted single file, so I think it's a little bit more organized, but you're going to see some drivers, such as the 52 of Owen Miles, for instance, just jump out of line and try to get as many positions as he can before the end of this race. And looks like the 52 of Miles is going to get a position on Salzman. Meanwhile, further up front, Chloe Reiner going to try to knock on the door of the 98 of Joshua Rush as they come off the corner.
And DeLello's going to have a run here with Nick Smith, but they all stay single file as Jacob Hammond continues to lead. He won at Talladega back at the end of April. And here we are at the end of May, looking to win his second career Napa fan race. These guys kind of bunching up here. Chloe Reiner going to shoot up just a little bit there, but nobody getting a run quite yet. Joshua Rush is right here in the 98 machine. We really haven't seen much of him this season in the Turkey Hill Series. He might get a run here on Hammond. Not quite, but they're both going to pull away from Chloe Reiner. Now Dylan Young's going to have a run on the 64, and this time he's going to be able to make the move on the 64 for the position.
Got a run going into turn 1 to see if he can actually hold the line, and easily. It's gonna maybe clear the 64, but now we have the 10 down to the inside of Chloe Reiner, and Owen Miles is going to come with them as they hit turn 3.
Good run here for Owen Miles. He almost lost his sponsorship, but I don't accept changing your scheme and like killing off sponsorship like that midway through the season here, Jill. So that's why Pop is still on the car. He's going 3 wide for the 4th position. And, you know, he might have a shot at winning this race possibly, but he overshot the corner just a little bit there, got in the Nick Smith. And that's one thing I really like about this track. You know, they can dive it into the corner, but when they do, they kind of slide it up. It's kind of what happened to Carl Edwards. I think it was 2008. He tried to make the move entering turn 3 on Jimmy Johnson and just overdid it. They kind of do that sometimes here at Kansas with these guys, and it's really interesting to see. I mean, you might remember the Season 2 Chick-fil-A Cup Series race here. I mean, had so many guys doing it at the end of that thing. Who knows what we could see on Saturday in the Chick-fil-A Cup? Who knows what we're going to see in this one? We could see a lot of changes for the race lead here at the end, but only 10 laps to go. Jacob Hammond leading this field in the 47 with Joshua Rush trying to get to his back bumper, but Hammond with a strong car for Logan Racing. And not only that, he's 4th in the, or should I say 5th in the points coming into this thing. Looking to get a good run, but Joshua Rush to the inside at the stripe. It looks like Rush is going to lead this lap. He's got a bonus point towards the championship right there.
Just think if that was the finish of the race, that would have been just by a matter of maybe by a few inches over the 47 of Jacob Hammond that Joshua Rush would have won that. But I thought it was going to come down to these two for the win, but you also have Owen Miles and also the 40 Dylan Young coming back into the mix, and they're going to try to make this a 4-car fight, maybe a 5-car fight if Nick Smith can get up there.
Yeah, Nick Smith is coming, but Owen Miles, I think he's gained the most position since the restart to the inside of Dylan Young for 3rd. But Rush right behind Hammond. Hammond was able to cross over and take the position back, but that brought in Miles and Young for this top position. I'd watch out for the 52 right here. He's going to have a good shot for Hair-Gel Autosport, and we're going to have to see if that 52 can get around Joshua Rush for 2nd and have a shot on Jacob Hammond. Hammond way up the racetrack. The outside lane's the stronger line off the corner, but not that far up on the outside lane. Here we go. Rush is closing back in here as we only have ourselves 7 laps to go at Kansas.
Yeah, better make sure that Hammond doesn't go too wide. He goes in to the first few corners, maybe just a 2nd lane up a little bit, but Joshua Rush is right there as they go into turn number 3. I'd have to watch going through turn 4 because we've seen Hammond just overshoot turn number 4 a little bit. He gets a little tight and then comes back up the racetrack just a bit, but he does gather back up and looks like he got through turns 3 and 4 just perfectly as Owen Miles goes for 2nd.
Owen Miles, he's been moving his way through the field very nicely. He's going to push Rush out of the way to take 2nd right away from the 98 machine, and I think this 52 has the strongest car on the racetrack. Josh King with a great run. John Anders with a good run in the 32. He's inside the top 10 now. And you got Ryan Benjamin and this gaggle of cars battling for 10th. Chloe Reiner has fallen way back in the 64. Tough break for that. Caution coming out was not beneficial to her at all, and she's outside the top 10 right now in the 64. Dylan Young, and now Owen Miles for the race lead with 5 laps to go on the Kansas Heartland 300. But he couldn't hold the inside that time. Hammond's going to keep the outside lane to his advantage.
Hammond made the outside work going through turn 2, but let's see what happens going through 3 and 4. It looks like it's going to be the same song, same dance for Jacob Hammond. Goes in just a 2nd, groove up a little bit, but he still is holding on to the lead, but now he has just under a 1/4 of a second advantage over Owen Miles, but I would definitely not count out Miles just yet because he has by far the strongest car on the racetrack, and he might have the strongest chances of getting by the 47 of Jacob Hammond before this race is over.
The only thing is Hammond does not have anybody ahead of him, so he's not going to be going side by side anytime soon. Only unless, of course, Owen Miles finds a way to his back bumper. Dylan Young in there in third. Nick Smith, Zachary DeLello benefited very nicely with that caution coming out up to the 5th position. Rush has fallen back to 6th, and it's Josh King. Another solid run for King. He's going to gain on the points through a majority of the field here. Josh King just slowly but surely hanging on to this championship race lead, and he's going to have a good shot at winning it once we get to Darlington in September. But either way, Owen Miles trying to gain every advantage he can on Jacob Hammond, and I think he still has a good shot at getting around him. It's going to be 2 laps to go in the Kansas Heartland 300. Miles is not going to make the move quite yet. He wants to stay right behind him and have a better shot through 3 and 4. He's getting a run through 2. Will he make the move down the backstretch?
Right there. See, this is smart by Owen Miles. You have to pressure him, and either pressure him into making a mistake or try to make the move going into turn 3, and that's what's going to happen coming to the white flag.
Hammond's going to have the run on the outside, but Miles with a really strong inside lane. If he can keep the quarter panel entering turn number 1, I think Miles is going to get it. White flag in the Turkey Hill Series at Kansas. Who's going to get this Kansas Heartland 300 win? Miles to the inside. He's going to clear Hammond. Here comes Nick Smith. Smith has moved his way up to the 3rd position, but Miles has cleared. He's checking out as somebody went around. Some smoke, but no caution on the racetrack. Jacob Hammond, one last shot. He's going to try to work the outside lane on Owen Miles. He's going to get a run. He's going to go to the inside, but at the line, Owen Miles, first win of the season. Popeyes is now happy that he's got a race victory.
Wow, how about that? What a finish. And if I'm not mistaken, he probably led 1 lap in this race, and that was the most important lap. But by gosh, what a finish.
That was a good one there at the end, but Miles just got it at the end there, and he had the stronger race car to take it away. Congratulations to Owen Miles, first career win on Nabafan, I do believe, here today at the Kansas Speedway. And not only that, Hairgel can finally be thankful I didn't change his car, because it finally won. There you go. Owen Miles, the race winner here at the Kansas Speedway. And I have to see, somebody went around at the end there. Seth Cole, Brandon Mayhew, Bobo Jones all finished a lap down. It might have been Voiles who got spun. We're going to have to see what happened, because I think a wreck happened on the final lap that was on the apron. I don't think it was ever on the racing surface, so we'll have to see how that all goes down. But Owen Miles, Jacob Hammond, Nick Smith, Dylan Young, and Zachary DeLello at the top 5. And Chloe Reiner, she had a good run in this race, was probably in the position to win this thing before that caution came out, but she ended up finishing 14th, and tough break for her. But Owen Miles definitely had the strongest car there at the end, and no doubt he deserved this race victory here at the Kansas Speedway.
I definitely have to agree with that right there, because Owen Miles, just after that pit stop and after that caution came out, because he had that, he basically, on the pit stop that we had, just as the caution was coming out, you know, he definitely had a very strong car. I mean, just, I can't even speak anymore. I'm sorry.
It was a good race here at Kansas. We've recorded a couple of good races today, and I mentioned a couple because we both recorded IndyCar, which will be tomorrow, and that's a good race too, so recommend that checking that out. Let's go ahead and see what happened here, though, on the final lap. That didn't bring out the caution, but something did happen as we saw some smoke down the backstretch on the final lap of this race. And we had 4 wide off of turn 2, and Christopher Altheby to the inside of Daniel Voiles sent him around for a ride. And that's going to knock him back a few positions. I was already at the back of the field, and that was not on the racing surface, but that is exactly what we saw. That's Owen Miles' teammate, Daniel Voiles, there, who got sent around there down the backstretch. But either way, that was the pass for the race lead right there. Owen Miles taking it away from Jacob Hammond and grabbing his first win of the season here in the Turkey Hill Series. I'm pretty sure Hairgel's happy about that. It's the 3rd win for Hairgel Motorsport here in the Turkey Hill Series. They've been doing pretty good. They've gotten a lot of wins. Of course, Voiles won twice, and Miles just got this one. Take a look at the rest results right there. And final thoughts on this race, Elijah. Very good one here from the Kansas Speedway. And what do you think we're going to see on Saturday in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series?
I'd probably say, first of all, I do agree with you right there. This was a really good race, a really good finish. Great last lap pass by Owen Miles. But I would definitely have to expect something a little similar in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series race, despite the fact that it's going to be a little longer. So the drivers are probably going to be just as aggressive as what they were in today's race. except, you know, like you said earlier, this is a rhythm racetrack, so you have to play your cards right. You have to really put yourself in the right positions and definitely go for the race to win. So I would definitely have to say that's what we're going to have to expect in the Chick-fil-A Cup Series race come Saturday.
Well, we'll have to see how it all goes down. Noon Eastern time right here on Napa Fan. It's the Great Wolf Lodge 400 here from the Kansas Speedway, and I think the racing is going to be very similar to what we saw today. A great race here at Kansas, and Owen Miles, one lap led with the race victory for his first career win. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tomorrow, like I mentioned, we got the Grand Prix of Limerick and the Haas IndyCar Series. Recommend checking that one out. Of course, the Chick-fil-A Cup Series on Saturday, noon Eastern time. And tomorrow night, we actually have sign-ups for the Junior Johnson Memorial Shootout as well, so I recommend you stick around for that, because big special event coming up 2 weeks from now. It's going to be fun there at North Wilkesboro. We're going to have the Chick-fil-A Cup Series throwback race there, Hers Dash Series finale, and a bunch of other special events to go along with it, including a 100-lap late model race there around that historical racetrack. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Elijah Leonard, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Haas IndyCar Series from Lime Rock Park, and congratulations once again to Owen Miles for winning here at Kansas. Here are the points for the Turkey Hill Series, and I will see you guys later.